All right, when I say ancient Egypt, what pops into your head? I bet it's the towering pyramids, right? Or maybe massive temples, gold-filled tombs, and yeah, for sure. But today, we're going to dive into the tech that really powered one of the ancient world's greatest civilizations. And spoiler alert, it wasn't stone.
I mean, it makes sense why we think of stone. We see Egypt's power in these incredible monuments, these things that were built to last forever, and they are just breathtaking. But here's the thing. You can't run a massive, sprawling empire on stone carvings alone. It just doesn't work.
So, if it wasn't stone, what was it? What was that everyday tool that let Egypt organize, communicate, and build a culture that lasted for thousands of years? Well, it's time to uncover Egypt's real secret weapon.
Okay, so first, let's really tackle this idea of an empire built on stone. Because yeah, while stone is definitely the most visible part of Egypt's legacy, trying to actually run an empire with it, well, that comes with some pretty serious drawbacks. You see, all those giant structures, they were meant for the gods and the pharaohs. They were designed to send a message across centuries, to last for eternity. But what about sending a message across the river? Or, just keeping track of this year's grain harvest? For that kind of stuff, stone is just, it's not practical at all. And this really gets to the heart of it. It's a trade-off, right? Stone, that was for forever. But it was also totally impractical for day-to-day life. Papyrus, on the other hand, it was lightweight, it was portable. Yeah, okay, it was fragile. But that practicality, that's what made it so revolutionary. It was a tool built for the now, not for the ages. So where did this game-changing material even come from? Well, it came from the very heart of Egypt itself, the Nile. This was a totally natural solution, born right out of the river that gave the entire kingdom its life. So what exactly is papyrus? Well, it's basically this tall, strong, reed-like plant that grew everywhere along the Nile marshes. Think about that. The same river that fed the people of Egypt also handed them the raw material for one of the world's first huge leaps in communication tech. And the process for making it is just brilliantly simple. I mean, check this out. You just harvest the plant, cut the stem into thin strips, lay them out in a crisscross pattern, and then press them together. And get this, the plant's own sticky sap acted as the glue, no extra ingredients needed. Once it was dried and smoothed out, boom, you had a flexible, pretty durable sheet ready for ink. They literally turned a common reed into high-tech writing paper. Now, this simple invention, it did way more than just make things convenient. It sparked a full-blown writing revolution. It took the written word off of those monumental stone walls and put it onto everyday, portable scrolls. Think about it. Before papyrus, writing was a slow, formal process, pretty much reserved for those big, monumental purposes. But now, with this lightweight surface and some ink, information could be jotted down quickly, efficiently. Writing basically broke free from the temple walls and just exploded into the world of daily business, government, and culture. And you won't believe the sheer variety of stuff they wrote down. This wasn't just for pharaohs anymore. We're talking about everything. Tax records, legal contracts, medical textbooks, religious hymns, epic stories, love poems. They even found students' homework. Papyrus didn't just record the grand history of kings. It captured the full, messy, beautiful, real picture of everyday Egyptian life. Honestly, this is the best way to think about it. It was like their notebook paper, their printer paper, and all their official government forms all rolled into one. It was the go-to medium for literally everything that didn't need to be carved in stone for all eternity. And that portability, it wasn't just about convenience. It was a genuine source of power. It completely changed how the entire kingdom was managed. I mean, this right here is the real game changer. Remember, Egypt is a long kingdom, all stretched out along the Nile. A message carved on a heavy stone tablet, that's not going anywhere fast. But a lightweight scroll, you can send that by boat, by runner. Suddenly, you can connect the central government to its most distant outposts. Information itself became mobile. And this new mobile information system, it empowered a whole class of professionals, the scribes. These were the highly educated folks who could read and write. And with papyrus as their main tool, they basically became the engine that ran the entire Egyptian state. They were the administrators, the accountants, the librarians, the historians, you name it, they did it. But for all its incredible strengths, papyrus had one major weakness. And that weakness explains a whole lot about what we know and what we don't know about ancient Egypt today. See, unlike stone, papyrus is organic. That means it burns, it rots if it gets wet, and, yep, insects love to eat it. The only reason we have any of these documents left at all is because of Egypt's ridiculously dry climate. That desert air is what preserved these super delicate records against all odds. And it's so important to remember that what we have today is just a tiny, tiny fraction of what once existed.
And yet, that tiny surviving fraction is absolutely priceless. This quote here really nails it. Papyrus often gives a closer view of everyday thinking and practical activity. Stone inscriptions tell us the official story, what the kings wanted us to remember forever. But papyrus, that tells us what people were actually doing day in and day out. So in the end, it's these fragile little scraps of paper that give us this incredibly intimate look into the real ancient Egypt. We're talking about the Egypt of business deals and legal complaints, of medical recipes and math homework. It's history with a human face, all of it preserved by this miracle of climate buried in the desert sand. And all of this leaves us with one last kind of crucial question. The Egyptians relied on this fragile plant fiber. Today, our records, our stories, our entire culture, it exists on hard drives and in the cloud, on servers. So as we look back at them, it forces us to look forward and ask ourselves, what are the fragile pages of our own history today? And how on earth will they survive for the historians of the future?